All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, joining you for a live stream with the Canes coming your way. It's 8:30 Eastern time, just a little bit after that. My guest, Dwayne Holloway from the U family. This is his first appearance on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Still waiting for Dwayne to join us. And I know that many of you were waiting patiently. So it hit about 8:37, and I decided to jump on line, even though Dwayne's not here just yet. So we can talk Miami, we can talk college football, we can talk what's on your mind. I will remind you, if you're joining us for the first time or you've watched our videos on occasion, that this is the place to be for college football discussion, debate, and analysis here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, talking Miami, talking the ACC, talking the nation. We just got done with a tremendous 90 minutes of Ohio State football talk with Claire Crawford, Steve Hellwagon, and Tony Gerdeman. Please check that out if you love college football and want to keep up with all the major programs out there. Directly following our Miami talk here, hopefully we can get Dwayne on the line very soon. We are coming back with SEC football talk at 9:30 Eastern time with Mike Laval from Last Word on College Football, Kevin McGuffey from Last Word on College Football, to break down the best at the skill positions there on the outside in the SEC at wide receiver and tight end. I am going to go to the live chat. And again, we're still awaiting our guest, Dwayne Holloway from the U family, but I didn't want to keep you guys waiting. So we will answer your questions on college football, respond to your comments, and wait for Dwayne to jump online. And so here we go. If you haven't been through the channel maybe at all or recently, please check out all the videos that we've got posted. We knocked out the top 10 non-conference games for 2018. And Miami fans, of course, your date with LSU there at Jerry's World, the big palace there in Texas, is ranking very high on our list of top 10 non-conference games. We're in the midst of knocking out a 4-part series, weeks 1 through 4 of the season, and the under the radar non-conference games. And of course, we track all the teams as much as we possibly can. We've talked Ohio State, TCU, Nebraska, Penn State, Michigan, Alabama, LSU, Clemson off the top of my head just in the last week. And 1 week ago, we talked to UCLA football with a big Bruin blowout with Tony Siracusa and Mike Regalado from their respective platforms 1 week ago, talking UCLA football. We did the same with Ohio State. And I know for the people that are on the line right now waiting for us to talk Miami football, that you can't wait for us to do the same with Miami. So imagine I bring on Cam Underwood from State of the U. I go grab Alonzo from Alonzo 1219, maybe tonight's guest, Dwayne Holloway from the U family, and some of our other Miami guests and contributors from recent months. And we have a big Miami talk for 90 minutes to 2 hours, nothing but the Canes. I'm sure you guys will show up for that one. So again, let's strike up the live chat and see who's out there and what do you guys have while we wait for Dwayne to jump on board. And after I check the live chat, I will go back to my email to make sure that Dwayne's doing all right. At last I checked, he was waiting to jump on. Let's see where he stands right now. He is downloading. So there's always the issues with the apps and the Google Hangouts and the YouTube Live and the downloads and the uploads and everything else that needs to happen. So Dwayne Holloway from the U family waiting to join us as soon as he can possibly get on the line. Many of you joined me and Tony, Steve, and Claire for our Buckeyes conversation, so I appreciate you, even though you're not Ohio State fans, for supporting Mark Rogers TV. As a couple people commented during the last chat, during the last live stream, that they were jumping on the chat just to say, hey, we're supporting the channel. We love college football, and we'll talk whatever we want to talk about on here, Miami, LSU, whoever else, and we'll support the channel. And so I appreciate that. All right, let's knock it out here. 786 Canes. Real talk now. Well, we hope as soon as Dwayne Holloway gets on the line. Otherwise, you guys will be supplying the real talk, and I'll respond to your comments and questions. I don't sleep. I take a nap. I lay my head down on the desk here and knock myself out for 20 or 30 minutes, and then I just jump right back to it. All right, from the top, we got Pro Sports Central. Seen you a number of times, Pro Sports Central. I don't know that we've exchanged any pleasantries, so welcome to Mark Rogers TV officially, even though I know that you've been watching and commenting for quite some time. We got Rico, the closer. Canes family ready to talk here and chat it up. Crimson and White, 17, Roll Tide. Go Tigers from LSU superfan who joins us on a regular basis. So many of you don't necessarily make a ton of comments, but I see you on the live chat. I know that you watch the channel, and obviously this channel isn't for every fan of every fan base all the time. So you pick and choose and determine what you want to watch, what you want to listen to, and what you want to comment on, because we talk about everyone and don't expect you to watch the TCU video if you don't like TCU. But if you're a junkie like me, you probably will watch the TCU video, even if you root for somebody else. But if you love Miami football, we think we supply enough of it right here to make the subscription and the support to Mark Rogers TV well worth it. All right, what else do we have here? Mark, please go live after LSU beats the Canes. So the approach will definitely be to go live after that game. If you were around last season, we did a series of instant analysis, which typically on a Saturday afternoon and Saturday night meant we went live right after the noon Eastern time games, right after the 3:30 games, right after the 7 and 8 o'clock games, and then after the late West Coast games, usually with 5 or 6 instant analysis of the games across the board. So with LSU and Miami going at it on that Sunday night, yeah, I will be here for that one. All right, Wes Anthony, do you think Miami will be able to bounce back from the 3 straight losses at the end of last season? Yeah, they will bounce back. They will win another 10 games most likely this year. So where are the losses? Well, the losses could be at home against Florida State, could be Virginia Tech on the road in Blacksburg. Of course, that's a prime candidate. The way I see it right now, Miami and Florida State are pretty close in regards to talent on the roster. Florida State has a major decision to make at quarterback. Miami, a less of a decision in that they've got the experienced guy in Malik Rozier, or they could go with the more talented player of either N'Kosi Perry or Jaron Williams. But for Florida State, James Blackman, I think despite all the adversity and everything that you've got to consider that he was faced with last year, he played pretty well. The stats weren't pretty, but the offensive line play was not pretty as well. And he expected to be the backup. And Jimbo Fisher, by many reports, mailed it in last year. And James Blackman should be a better, substantially better quarterback in 2018 than what we saw as a freshman last season. So that Florida State-Miami game might be for real. It might be on, with Florida State not quite back to Florida State standards, but ready to play with their minds right, their heads squared on straight to play that game. And of course, it went right down to the wire last season with Malik Rozier playing a fine fourth quarter after an awful first half in that game. And he did pull it out in the final drive and threw some darts on that last series against the Noles. But other than that, yeah, the trip to Blacksburg, Georgia Tech's always a difficult one. Miami, of course, has to deal with Florida State, and Boston College is nothing to sleep on this season with A.J. Dillon back at running back, and probably the best, this isn't saying much, best Boston College passing game than what we've seen in 6 years now under Steve Adazio. So Boston College could be a difficult out as well. And of course, in the non-conference, it's the LSU game. So the very bottom for Miami, I can't imagine that they could possibly lose more than 4 games. I know you guys would go crazy if they lost 4 games, and you should, because you're better than everybody on the schedule, excluding Florida State, and that's a toss-up. And you would have to give the edge to Miami because we know what we've got with the Canes under Mark Richt. Willie Taggart in his first season. Typically, head coaches have difficulty with that first season and acclimating the kids to the program and the structure and the process and the new coaching staff. So there is a decided advantage for Miami football this season to get it done first in the Coastal. Don't worry about Clemson. You don't need to worry about Clemson until the first week of December, but get it done in the Coastal, and it's right there for the taking and getting to, you know what, that big college football playoff. What else do we have here on the live chat? Still waiting for our guy, Dwayne Holloway from the U family. And this is the perfect crowd to pitch this to. So I would think for those of you who are online right now that most of you subscribe to Alonzo1219. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Alonzo Oliver, a great guy, covers Miami football and does it in his own unique way with his own swag and style. So you got to check him out at Alonzo1219, the U family. So you do that first and you subscribe there. Then, if you guys want a turnover chain, a legit turnover chain, or some other Miami swag, bring subscribers to Mark Rogers TV. Do a little name dropping so I can keep track, which I have. And this contest runs all the way to July 15th. So for the person who brings the most subs to Mark Rogers TV from now until July 15th, you win some swag from Alonzo1219. So if you go to his channel and check out all the video thumbnails, you're bound to see the turnover chain because he shows it off quite a bit. But if for some reason, and I can't imagine any Miami fans aren't into the turnover chain, but if you're not, you can take a hat, take a t-shirt, take something else. And if for whatever reason you're watching and you just love college football, but you're not into the Canes, you can still win this contest. Subscribe to Alonzo1219, bring subs to me, and still win the college football swag gear of your choice. All right. 786 Canes. Yes, I'm filling in here until we hear from our guy, Dwayne Holloway from the U family. Hopefully, this will not be me going solo on Miami football, but that's fine. That's what I did for about 3 or 4 years on my channel before I decided to bring other people on, was I talked about everybody. Got me two already, Country Boy. I appreciate it. So you're going to have to point out for me, maybe Country Boy, who you sent my way as subscribers. Mark, you should wear a turnover chain. Just typically wouldn't look real good with what I've got here. Go check out Alonzo1219. Not right now, but Alonzo1219. He usually has the good look with the chain, and it fits. I will probably go viral if I wear the chain. So I should probably put the chain on to get people to watch and go viral. I'm going to check on Dwayne Holloway. He might be having some issues, and we're up against it here. We've got some SEC talk coming up at 9:30 Eastern time. So I'm going to see what the deal is. I normally wait for the guest to come on before I go live, but tonight I just wanted to make sure that you guys weren't hanging out for no reason and just waiting. So about 8:37, I thought I need to jump on here and say hi to everyone. How we doing? All right. 30 minutes later, I get the notification. So Randy Forbes jumps in here. And Randy, don't know if you watch us on a regular basis, but welcome to Mark Rogers TV. I apologize for the notification. So let me know if you're having issues with the notifications, and I'll get to somebody to figure out what's going on there. Because otherwise, I sent out the notifications earlier today, I think it was about 8 o'clock this morning that I sent out notifications for all 3 live streams, and they were out there. So if you guys are having issues with the notifications, let me know. And then, as I always ask you, if you've got suggestions for content, for guests, bring them my way, and I will go after anybody out there. Call me Mark. I talk Canes football with you. 786 Canes. We may go that route, but you're going to have to drop your phone number right here, and we may just do that. Mark me rocking the button down shirts. Exactly. This is kind of my deal. Suggestions for jackets, ties. The ties, I don't really want to go that route, but I've gone with the jackets in the past as well. Dennis, no, I don't want Ohio State fans wearing turnover chains. Pepper Park, 305, too good for this chain, Mark. Seeing a lot of names that I haven't seen before. So for anybody that has been watching for a long time and just hasn't jumped on the live chat and has watched from afar, I appreciate you supporting Mark Rogers TV. And for those of you that are watching maybe for a first time or second time or third time, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, which means I've got a voice, you've got a voice. We see that on the live chat. We bring in the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the nation. They've got a voice, and we all together are the voice of college football. Country Boy with a suggestion to bring in Alonzo, and hey, maybe we do that. I am going to Alonzo here. I'm going to say, what you doing right now? There it is. We'll see if Alonzo responds here. 786 Canes. We'll talk some college football, 786 Canes. I don't know where to get a hold of you. Who else is in the chat? Ain't losing no 4 games, Mark. I said that was the basement. I said that was the basement. That's the basement. That's not my pick. Mark, do you think LSU will be able to match Miami's team speed? In one word, yes, they will. That is not why LSU will most likely lose this game. They will lose it because of inexperience at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, because of some thin depth chart issues along the defense, especially in the secondary. And Miami's just a more experienced team. Got Alonzo laying in bed right now. So going to let him know that people are clamoring for him. This is just killing this live stream, isn't it? We've been like dead for a minute here, and I've got people hanging on here, so I appreciate it. Alonzo on the line. So, what's going on, man?
Oh man, it is not going through for me right now. Doing the Google Hangout.
Oh, I thought this was Zoe calling me back. We got Dwayne Holloway on the line from the U family.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The wholesome one.
All right. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just trying to get this video chat to work. It's kind of frustrating. It's asking me to download multiple things, but yes, we'll get it working.
So whatever you're doing right there, you can keep after it. But while I've got you on the line, if you can multitask, we might as well just put you right on the phone, right on the air, and we'll just go at it. How's that sound?
Okay, sure, that works.
All right. Why don't we do that? Because we don't have too much time. We got a lot of people on the line wanting to talk some Miami football and hear us talk Miami football. Right. So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
Doing all right?
Well, yeah, I dropped another video on my series of the top 5 at every position at the U in the last decade from 2008 to 2017. So I've got down the cornerbacks and safeties is what I'll be uploading tomorrow afternoon.
All right, the quarterbacks and the safety. So basically running down the position and what you think's going to happen week 1, well, how it stacks up going into the season?
Well, no, actually, this is I kind of want to get the past over with because us as Hurricane fans, we have a problem with kind of being stuck in the past. So I was able to get us through this off season. We're talking about guys from the last 10 years.
Oh,
from 2008 to 2017. Yes. And,
all right.
I'm actually, after this, I'll be drifting into a series on the current guys on the roster because I feel as though they couldn't make my top 5 list because everything they haven't done everything at the University of Miami yet. So you never know. Joe Jackson might be the best defensive end in the last 15 years. You know, if he goes and has a 10 sack season or more. So that's why he wasn't able to make my list yet because he still has some time left.
Okay, so this is the last 10 years, Miami best at each position. So I'm not going to let you completely uncover this because we want to let people get to your YouTube channel. So it's Dwayne Holloway on the line from the U family, and he's the wholesome one. So is that the best way that people can find you, is to look you up that way?
Yes. I'm gonna be transitioning my other social medias to focusing on that. But you can also find me on Instagram if you would like to do so under my username _Holloway. That's on my Instagram, and on my Facebook it's Dwayne T. Holloway II. My full name.
Sounds good, man. So we're going to cut right to the live chat and see what people have to ask you because there's a number of people online right now. So let's get started with a very general question from 786 Canes, who says, basically, what do you think about the upcoming season? There it is.
Well, let's get straight into the business. I am a believer of MarkRogersTV. I believe as though a guy who is a redshirt senior,
okay,
he has N'Kosi Perry, at his ankles, and he knows at any moment he can get yanked out of the game, and we're going to put N'Kosi Perry in. So I believe he's going to take that step forward because not only, you're going to have the coaches and the fans on social media, but he knows what he did last year. He saw the up and down play, and I believe he'll show up this year. I'm expecting, honestly, an undefeated season. If not an undefeated, then maybe that one loss to that Boston College. That's the game that kind of rubs me a little the wrong way. That
all
Boston
right.
College game.
So that's an interesting selection. We were just talking about that before you jumped on the phone here because I said, look at the schedule, and I'm thinking Florida State is the one team that comes close to matching Miami's roster talent. Virginia Tech would be maybe the one game that a lot of people would point to because it being in Blacksburg and that historically being a difficult place to play. I mentioned Boston College as well. A.J. Dillon's coming back. They're actually going to be able to throw the ball a little bit better than they typically do. And they bring back a really good team there with Boston College. Is that game on the road?
Yes. It's
okay,
at Boston College.
There you go. So that could be a difficult one as well. So I think you're better than everybody on the schedule, but people need to understand just because you're better than everybody on the schedule even if you don't let up throughout the season or have a letdown game, let's say you're 60-40 over Florida State. Well, that's still a very difficult assignment. It's at home, correct?
Yes.
So it is a home game.
Yep.
Obviously, you pulled out the game in Tallahassee last year. Say Virginia Tech. Say on a neutral field, you beat Virginia Tech 8 out of 10 times. But in Blacksburg, maybe that's a 55-45 kind of proposition. So
right.
there are a number of the elite teams across the country that you point to and say they're better than everybody on their schedule, but that doesn't mean they're going to go 12-0. So you're thinking 11-1 is the route you're going to go right now. Is that official? Is that the official prediction from the Wholesome One?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I will go on tap 11-1.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got here on the live chat. Too Bad 28 asking your thoughts about the tight end position, which has obviously been just star-studded in recent years, but you don't necessarily have the guy in camp yet who's going to be the starter, but he's showing up here pretty soon.
Well, actually, he's there now.
Okay.
He was able to come into our season session A, our summer session A, when the freshmen were able to come in and start taking their courses. So yes, our both, well, not Will Mallory, but Jordan. It's escaping me right now. But you know who I'm talking about. I can't even think of his name right now.
Yeah, Bevan Jordan.
Last name Jordan. Brevin Jordan. There we go. Brevin Jordan is on campus now. We follow each other on Instagram and Snapchat, so I'm able to see that he's really working hard and doing his thing. But yes, he's on campus now. And one thing about our tight end group, or just about the University of Miami overall, we tend to have these athletic tight ends that can run block and also play receiver. But now we finally have a guy who's, he's not 6'5", he's 6'2", 6'1.5", 6'2". But this guy can legit block also. He can play H-back if that's the type of scheme we want to play. And his route running has improved over his last years in high school. And now he's going to be able to show the world, what he can do against LSU. So I'm actually pretty happy. That's one position I'm not too worried about, is tight end, honestly.
So we not only have Miami fans on the line, Dwayne, but we got all sorts of LSU fans, Clemson fans, and others. So you can imagine what they're talking up here. But we've got Lamar Stevens jumping on the offensive line. He's talking about it being big, but it needs to gel. Guys need to do their jobs individually. But obviously, we know football and know that this unit provides a lot of complexity with the guys needing to gel, and it's got to be the most cohesive unit on the field. They work together like no other unit. So what do you think about the offensive line?
The offensive line, to me, one thing about playing offensive line, I played offensive line in high school. I played both ways in high school down here in Miami, and I played defensive line in college. So the fronts is, you're talking my stuff now. We bring back the most important part of the offensive line, the center. Mm-hmm. Gauthier comes back. So him and his connection to Malik Rozier and him being able to get the message across to the rest of the guys in the offensive line is very, very important. We're bringing back Tyree St. Louis, who was a left tackle his entire life until he got to the University of Miami, and he played right tackle. So now he goes to his original position where he has his fluidity at left tackle. So that side to me is going to be, I wouldn't say concrete, but it's in good hands. Now at the right tackle, we're going to have Navarro Donaldson is moving from right guard out to right tackle. He's already lost over 15 pounds shedding to be able to go back out there to right tackle. And we might have some freshmen playing guard this year. Some of the freshmen we're bringing in. And they'll have their growing pains. But I believe at the three key positions we have experience and guys who played last year. And I think they'll be able to show up.
Got Dwayne Holloway on the line from the U Family's Wholesome One. Catch his YouTube channel for all your Miami football coverage. We appreciate Dwayne jumping on for the very first time here at Mark Rogers TV. And despite some of our connection issues with the video, we've got his audio crystal clear. So stay on the line here. And a number of people talking about the play calling. So I know your buddy Alonzo just goes crazy about the play calling. A number of people are commenting here about the play calling. A number of people comment that Mark Richt, as a head coach, glad to have him. Great. Hope he's here for 15 or 20 years. But stop play calling. Give it to somebody else. What do you think?
I've battled back and forth with this one because I want to go into coaching. I don't want this one to bite me on my behind later on in life. But if you want me to be bluntly honest, I believe he also has something to prove. Now, me being, like I said, a center in high school, I know how important it is to be able to have that play caller quarterback connection. And anyone who watched the season last year saw that it could be from play to play or drive to drive to where they didn't really get much of a rhythm between each other. Malik and Coach Mark Richt. I do agree that he should put down the offensive play calling because I think his mindset might be a little outdated with how you attack defenses in today's college football. A guy who I think on staff who's listed as the offensive coordinator but isn't the play caller is Coach Brown. He's our offensive coordinator by name, but he doesn't have the play calling ability. He's brought in 4 of the 5 running backs we have on the depth chart, and I think he's a younger guy. He played at Wisconsin. He played in the National Football League. This guy understands how offenses.
On the line with Dwayne Holloway from the U Family, Wholesome One. I believe we just lost him, even though it's showing that the phone call is still there. So hopefully the Wholesome One, Mr. Dwayne Holloway, can jump back online to talk some Miami football, getting some good questions about the offense. Lamar Stevens making a comment here about DJ Dallas and Lorenzo Lingard getting into the screen game. Lots of screens. You would think that would make a whole lot of sense. I don't know why he's not including one Homer, Travis Homer, at the same time as well. DJ Dallas was a back that obviously had early success in that game that was 14-3 at one time in the Orange Bowl against Wisconsin. And I thought that was a good move to get him the ball, and had a very successful series or two. And then for some reason they got away from him. Dwayne, how are you?
Oh, sorry about that.
No,
Mark.
That's good.
Those Seminole fans, man, they're getting at our connection, man. Jeez.
Yeah, they've got too much power over the phone companies, I think.
Well, that's one thing they got power over. We got them this year. That's all that matters.
That's it.
So what was the last thing that you got?
So people obviously will get back to the quarterback position because that's first and foremost in people's minds, especially when you get a quarterback that underperformed the last 3 games of the season. N'Kosi Perry, we heard so much about him, and we've seen the flashes of greatness in the spring game, and obviously there's a reason why he was rated so highly coming out of high school, and you can even put Jaron Williams into this bucket as well, but certainly Perry being in the program for 1 additional year. Is there a concern that the reason he's not on the field is he's not grasping the offense? A lot of people think that's got to be the only reason with this guy's dynamic playmaking ability that he's not the guy.
I personally, I 100% agree. But let's also remember who we're talking about is our offensive coordinator and our offensive play caller and our head coach. Mark Richt is a type of guy who he's going to kind of cover his own behind.
Yep.
So I believe that this might not be good to bring up. But let's take Georgia, for example. If Mark Richt was there and Jacob Eason didn't get hurt, even though this other guy, the young guy that took him all the way to the championship, looked much better, Eason would have won the job, right? Because of the seniority.
I suppose
in your
so.
opinion, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Right. So I think he's going to give Malik Rozier the opportunity to lose the job. Kind of like if we were to be, let's say we're down 21-3 against LSU at halftime. Best believe N'Kosi Perry is coming out that second half. Now, the flip side to that is if we're close and we're right there and it's a 7-3 type of game, then Malik Rozier is going to stay there through the remainder of the game. I believe N'Kosi Perry has the athleticism to run this RPO system 10 times better than Malik does. So there has to be, the only way possible is that he's not grasping. I think he has a grasp of the playbook, Mark, but he may not have the grasp of how to read defenses and what he's supposed to do if a certain defense comes out on that field in a certain coverage. Because most guys with an arm like him, talent like him, is going to automatically think, let's throw that deep ball. Let's get my athletes in open space. With a guy like Coach Mark Richt as the offensive coordinator, he wants to see you check down to that running back if there's nothing open. Run if absolutely necessary, but he wants to see you make the right throw against the right coverage. And that is what Malik Rozier had to do in order to win the job, because Mark Richt told him when he first got there, you would never start for me. He flat out told him that. And Malik had to look at himself and see, what do I need to do in order to be the starter here? And Mark Richt let him know, you need to know when to make the right throw. So that, I think that's what N'Kosi is going to have to work on.
We're on the line with the Wholesome One. He is Dwayne Holloway of the U family. So please join him on his YouTube channel, where he's constantly posting Miami football breakdowns, and you can hear the insight and the knowledge right there from Dwayne. So Dwayne, we appreciate you jumping on board here. Lorenzo Lingard obviously getting huge pub, as rated either the #1 or 2 running back in the nation coming out of high school. Your situation last year was obviously Travis Homer was extremely productive. I liked what I saw out of DJ Dallas. Many people did. I thought actually what might have turned the Orange Bowl was not just the Rozier turnovers and some of the plays that the Wisconsin wide receivers made, and some Miami fans would say some of the officials' calls or non-calls in that game. But DJ Dallas was starting to make some big ground in that game, had 2 really good drives, a touchdown run, and it looked like he couldn't be stopped, and they got away from DJ Dallas in that game for whatever reason. People on here are asking about Lorenzo Lingard and how much of a piece of this offense you think he'll have.
Lorenzo Lingard, I promise you this much, if he was committed anywhere else, would have been a 5-star across the board, especially if it would have been Bama. This young man brings a certain dynamic to our offense we haven't had in a while. As far as a guy, when you think Miami, you think fast and quick. Well, this guy brings the power, the speed, the being able to read holes and knowing when to cut back. This guy brings it all to the table. And I personally believe that Travis Homer should still be our starting back. Main thing that he does well is this guy knows how to pick up blitzes. His pass blocking is almost immaculate, if you ask me. But Lorenzo Lingard, to me, I would love to see him at a kick return, just to be able to get his feet wet, especially in a big game of Louisiana State, University that started off. But find a way to get this guy on the field. I know Travis Homer is going to be our starter. Our third down back is most likely going to be DJ Dallas of some sort, or maybe a flip-flop between those 2 guys. But Lorenzo Lingard needs to get some type of touches. I would give him maybe 1 or 2 every game just to get his feet wet. And I think he can come in and make some big plays, not necessarily always against the Savannah States or the FIUs, but against your Florida States and your North Carolinas, your Virginia Techs. I think we need to start using a stable of backs instead of, ramming one guy down. And then when he gets hurt, now we want to open up to having more than one running back. So to answer your question, I think Lorenzo Lingard will have a moderate type of effect on our offense because he's young, but I think that Coach Mark Richt will give him an opportunity.
Okay, we got Abe Mo on the line, ABE Mo on the line with some nice questions. He's concerned about special teams, just wanting to know how the special teams look this season.
I'm nervous about that one. As a whole, our punting game, the young guy Fields was a freshman. And the first half of the season, you could see he was punting with confidence. There wasn't a problem. Then we started creeping towards that Virginia, the Clemson, the Pitt, and he started punting horrendously. I felt as though he was rushing his punt also. But like anyone who's played the game or watched the game long enough understands, nothing can prepare you for football than actually playing football. So he has been out there in some chaotic situations and made some pretty good punts and some bad punts. I think he'll learn from that and be able to progress. Now that we no longer have Braxton Berrios for our punt and kick return, I believe we'll be able to get our fast guys, our Mike Harley, our Jeff Thomas, our Lorenzo Lingard, our DJ Dallas. We'll be able to get guys back there who are proven and can make plays because Miami hasn't had a special teams touchdown. I mean, besides the Duke of 2015, that's controversial. But I believe that's the last one we've had on special teams as far as a kick or punt return touchdown. And we have too much dynamic offensive players and some defensive players who I believe will get a chance this year for us not to make those touchdowns. So I think he'll Coach Mark Richt will allow those guys to get an open field this year.
Going to remind everyone out there, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, bringing you the very best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers across the nation, including analysis from myself. We've got the top 10 non-conference games for you. Also, a lot of under-the-radar games from weeks 1 through 4. Check out those videos, as well as our team reports on teams across the nation, and talking Miami football, of course, with Wholesome One, the U family, Dwayne Holloway. So check out his YouTube channel. And our contest going on right now is if you're subscribed to Alonzo1219, he's been generous and kind enough to offer swag for the person who brings the most subscribers to Mark Rogers TV before July 15th. So you've got almost a month to bring subs to Mark Rogers TV and win yourself some swag, which brings us to Wholesome One, the turnover chain. This thing was magic last year. It was magic. It was the thing in college football. It's going to be kind of difficult to keep up that kind of hype and momentum. It almost had like mystical powers. Now, I know Manny Diaz knows what he's doing with X's and O's, but man, he took it to another level. He knows what he's doing with like players' psyche to buy into that thing and make it almost have special powers over an offense.
Yep.
I tell you, that is crazy. So how does a defense continue to keep up that pace of turning an offense over that many times? Because it's now expected.
I personally believe, actually, let's go back to the very first time that the turnover chain came out. It was not looked upon well. I don't know if you remember that. We won against Bethune-Cookman, which is our opening game.
Okay.
Malik Young, prayers to Malik Young. He was the young man who was the cornerback that got hurt with the neck injury, who could no longer play football due to that neck injury in the Wisconsin game. But he was the first bearer of the turnover chain. And there's a guy, there's a channel on Instagram called Elite College Sports or College Football, whatever. And, he was one of the guys to clown, you guys wear a chain against Bethune-Cookman? Is this what you do? And ESPN was like, wow, we're watching Florida State, Alabama, but Miami's wearing a chain against Bethune-Cookman. But it gave nothing is more Miami than that, besides winning national championships. But that is one of the most Miami ideas that they could have come up with, and it worked out. Imagine us, getting that turnover chain and going 7-5. It doesn't have the same effect. But you go on a 10-game win streak, and not only does this chain come out against the Bethune-Cookmans of the world, against the Toledos of the world, the chain was coming out multiple times against our conference rivals and in-state rivals, such as Florida State, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, to where teams and Notre Dame, teams were like, hey, do not turn over that ball, because if you do, especially at home, the place is going to go nuts, and we're basically out of the game. That's it. It's over. For a guy who I attend North Dakota State University, but I was able to come down for the Wisconsin Orange Bowl game. And when we got the turnover, you couldn't even hear yourself think. Now, I can't say that I had great seats. I was kind of up in the nosebleed somewhere. But even then, you couldn't even hear yourself. The place was going nuts because of the turnover chain. And I could only imagine how loud it was when Bandy took that interception back against Notre Dame, and the place went bananas right before halftime. But like you said, it kind of had some mystical powers because it was able to bring out guys who are from Miami, playing for Miami, wearing something that is Miami. It's as we say down here in Miami, it's the crib. It's nothing like it across the world. So yeah, that turnover chain is amazing. But I've also sat and thought about what can we do now? Because you get a fumble recovery or an interception. What about year 2 or year 3 away from when it debuts?
Yep.
Is it still going to be a thing? Are we still gonna rock it, of course, but is the guy gonna wear it, or is he just gonna put it on for a couple seconds and take it off and hand it to the coach and say, oh, thanks? How is it gonna turn out? So I think it was a great idea, and I hope it stays relevant.
So everyone out there can hear we've got some strong Miami football talk from the Wholesome One, Dwayne Holloway. You can join him on the U Family, the Wholesome One, right here on YouTube. And we definitely enjoy the first conversation here, Dwayne. Appreciate you giving me a phone call as I was trying to figure out what might be the hang up with the video line, but it's all good, just so we can hear you plain and clear. And it turned out to be a great discussion. I'll ask you one other question, and then we've got to move on to the SEC. But of course, the ceiling for this team is to win all the games. As you outlined and I did before you jumped on, this team is better than everybody on the schedule. Florida State would be the one team on the schedule that, in terms of talent on the roster, would be comparable. But Boston College, well, LSU would be in that league too, obviously. But Boston College would be the wild card, in Virginia Tech in terms of a team with lesser talent being in the right circumstance and being just kind of the right matchup to make it difficult to go undefeated. But what's the ceiling for this, or what's the basement for this team, and what concerns you? What is your biggest concern going into 2018?
If I'm being completely honest with you, I'm not even worried about the coaches. I'm not worried about the quote-unquote empty stadiums. I'm not worried about what ESPN has to say about us. I'm worried about complacency in our program. We got to see what it was like to win big games again here in Miami and at the U. But we also got to see, well, an average Virginia team comes home after we just beat Notre Dame in a primetime game. They come here, and I think it was maybe a noon or a 1 p.m. kickoff. It was an earlier game, and we were sluggish. Now, obviously, being a player, I understand what happens when you win a big game. You kind of come out there a little, not nonchalant, but it's not the same playing a lower team. But you want to be able to build a program to where no matter who you're playing, you go out there and you dominate and take their will out of them immediately. Now, the defense bailed us out a lot in some pretty big games with some horrendous offensive showings. And the turnover chain, like we talked about earlier, brought a lot to that. But what's going to happen, because I personally believe we'll win a close game with LSU. So what's going to happen when FIU comes in, an inner city rival, in 2 weeks? Are we going to play around with them for a while and win by 14? Or are we going to put 35 on them and show we're the U, you're FIU, there's a reason why there's a distance in between us and you all? And then when we get to the game against Tallahassee here in Miami, are we going to show them that, hey, you guys can hang around with us, even though you got a first-year coach and you're kind of still trying to put everything together, or are we going to dominate them? That's my mindset going into the season. What makes me a little nervous is these guys got a lot of pats on the back, especially the defensive starters, and we bring a lot of them back. Can we, as a program, spread that intensity that the defense has to the offense and throughout the entire program of, hey, this is the standard. We need to start winning double-digit, period. And can we continue that going on through the whole season? So complacency and being able to show up every week, the same team, is what I'm kind of nervous about, to answer your question.
We've enjoyed the Miami football conversation with Dwayne Holloway from the U family. Wholesome One, that's the YouTube channel for Miami Football Talk. So we point you in that direction for your Miami football talk. And obviously keep it right here at Mark Rogers TV as we cover the nation. We are the voice of college football. And Dwayne, we appreciate you jumping on here for the very first time. Hope to have you back to talk Canes. And we've had a great response from the people on the chat. So we appreciate you all, the regulars and the first timers, jumping on to Mark Rogers TV. We're coming back in just a couple minutes with SEC football talk with Mike Laval and Kevin McGuffey from Last Word on College Football. Dwayne, you're invited anytime. We appreciate you filling us in on Miami football, giving us your perspective on the Canes for 2018.
Okay, no problem. And just to give you a spell check on my channel, or my name on my channel is kind of off. It's a tricky name. It is so THE, Wholesome, HOLSUM, the number 1, Holloway, the U family. So check me out, subscribe, and love you all, and thank you so much, Mark, for the opportunity. And hopefully we can get this on maybe once a week or twice a month, whenever you want to, and I can get on and give you some more knowledge.
Well, if you've looked at my channel, you know that these people can't get enough Miami football talk, so that's for sure. So Wholesome One, we appreciate it. You keep in touch.
No problem. God bless.
And God bless you, and we will see you soon.
All right, go Canes and go Bison.
All right, everyone. I'm shutting down the chat right now because I've got to send out another link to Mike Laval and Kevin McGuffey. We appreciate everyone joining us for Miami Football Talk. And, of course, we will talk up the Canes as much as we possibly can in the upcoming weeks to get you set for 2018. But we're talking SEC coming up next, so I'm going to send out the link, and we'll go from there. And appreciate you jumping on board.